Hello, this is the New Media Podcast 2K19, and I'm Graham Norris. Today's topic will be about the Romantic Era. We will be talking about the poets and the poems that they created. It was a very interesting topic in the timeline of English literature. It was a time period where poets wrote about the issues of the industrializing world and the greed that came with it. They focused on the meaning of life and what it means to live. They wrote about nature's beauty and how you should stop and appreciate it. The ongoing message was to live in the present and not to worry about money and possessions. Today joining me is Austin Leon. He is a fellow new media student that also enjoys learning about English literature. He is presently representing the House of Lawndales and was invited to the podcast to discuss the ideals of the Romantic era. How's it going, Austin?
Great.
You have anything else to say? You came a long way to do this podcast.
Yeah, I had to swim about 500 kilometers just to get here for you, Graham.
Okay. In New Media 11, we watched and read about Frankenstein. We did this during the Romantic era period of class because of when the book was created. What Romantic era themes did you notice during the book or movie?
Well, Graham, that's a lovely question. Frankenstein has a lot of romantic elements in it. This story is based around society and how it has shaped mankind. Frankenstein comes into the world with no knowledge of society. Of course, people do little to get to know him and immediately shun him. The author is pointing out how the world cannot accept someone who is different because they are influenced on what is normal and not. But if people got to know him, they would find out how kind he is. This is what the Romantic era is based around. The theme is to see beauty in everything and not to be influenced by society. Ignore society's opinions and form your own.
Wow, that was a really interesting response, Austin. You really know your stuff. So let's move on to question 2. The Romantic era poets were similar in their ideals and messages. What do you think were their key messages for people during that time period?
Well, good question, Grant. I think that the main theme of the Romantic era are the power of imagination, moving away from materialistic and greedy thoughts, the beauty of nature, and the sublime, which means the combination of fear and awe.
Okay, time for our fun fact break. Did you know that Wordsworth was sent to boarding school just like us? He also walked an estimated 10,000 miles in his life. He didn't even go to college. Straight after boarding school, he walked a huge amount. I think he liked walking because he could really think. Great. Your responses have been really interesting so far, Austin. I'm glad we have you. Moving on to question 3. What forms of literature do you think dominated the Romantic era and why?
Well, Graham, the form of literature that dominated the Romantic era was definitely poetry. This is because poetry can have the most powerful and creative meanings around them. These poets want to portray a strong message, and they could do that the most effectively in poetry.
Interesting, Austin. Who is your favorite poet?
Well, my favorite poet is definitely John Smears.
John Smears, that's an interesting one. I like his work, he's very creative. Wow. Let's move on to the last question. What do you think the theme is of Wordsworth, Why Did I Laugh Tonight?
Well, Graham, I think that in the end, Keats comes up with a simple answer that he laughed because he was alive. To be able to laugh in the face of death, this reminds people that the most important part of life is living.
Yeah, it's really amazing how he captures that. The Romantic era is quite a fascinating period of time. It's seen as a decade that breathed creativity, challenged the ideals of greed and materialistic views. If you want to read some Romantic era poetry, some key writers are Samuel Taylor Coleridge, William Wordsworth, Lord Byron, John Keats, William Blake, and Mary Shelley. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the near future.